Hi guys, and welcome to episode 20 of the Lina Knits podcast. This is a podcast about my life in knitting, yarn, everything related, and occasionally something else like tea. And today I'm going to show you a few finished objects that I've done. I'm not going to show you any shawls, and as the past two episodes have been about my summer of shawls and everything I've done during the summer, I thought now would be the perfect time to show you all the longer term WIPs that I have, as well as some new cast-ons. But first thing first, let's start with the finished objects. And the first thing that I will show you and first thing that I finished are these sulky mitts. These are from Taproot magazine, issue 17, which came out this spring, I guess. The theme of Smith. And I wasn't planning on knitting these mitts or any mitts for the time being, but as we have just moved, like I've mentioned now about 100 times, I've been organizing my yarn stash, and I came across this skein and felt like I wanted to knit something from it. It stayed in the back of my mind, and while I was reading the magazine and saw the pattern for these mitts and a matching hat, which I'm not going to knit, I just thought, I just started the mittens cowl on my Ravelry group. So why not knit the mitts? Because I really felt an itch to knit them. So I cast on Sunday morning, and I was done by the evening, and I did do other things that day as well. So really a quick knit. The yarn is by a homespun house, and it's their Arundel base, which I think is not their regular base, but the colorway it's a Berlin Sunset, which I really like, a gray with tiny bits of pink and orange speckles. And the pattern is from the Taproot magazine, and it's by Bristol Ivy, and there's also a matching hat with this cable pattern, but that wasn't calling for me. These mitts were. And the interesting thing about these mitts was that there's no thumb gusset, so you don't do any increases here. I do have some laddering there. It's purling on DPNs. Apparently gives me that. I haven't noticed it when I've been knitting socks or sort of doing stockinette, and this is reverse stockinette. So apparently that gives me some laddering there. But yeah, so you don't do any sort of thumb gusset as such. But as I was knitting this, I realized that the thumb gusset is sort of created by stopping these cables. So it sort of gives the extra space, makes it a bit wider. And it really does work. And there's no restrictions. And it's not too bulgy either. I've worn these out and everything, so they really do function. So loving them. The other thing I finished are my monkey socks by Cookie A. And these were something I knit on the bus while commuting to work. So it really seems to work, sock knitting on the bus. I was never bored on my commute, and I have a finished pair of socks. And the yarn is Holiday Yarns Flock Sock in 80s Dance Mix, which was Jimmy Bean's Wool's limited edition color thingy a few years back, 2 years back I think. And the yarn came with the mini skein for I guess you could have done the toes or the cuff with it as well. I had some left over. So these are, well, definitely like 80s. Maybe a bit too bright for my taste, but fun nonetheless. And the pattern was, I like the pattern. It's interesting, but it was easy to remember. So very easy to do on the bus. And I'm thinking I really do need to get smaller sock blockers. As you can see, it's not really, it should be like this. So they're overstretching my socks if I keep them on there properly throughout the blocking process. But yay for another pair of socks. Today I'm drinking pumpkin spice tea from Adagio Teas. This is a US company, and I've had their teas previously in swaps, and I've very much enjoyed them all. So while searching for pumpkin spice flavored tea, I checked them out, and they had them, and they have all their teas in, I think, tea bags and loose leaf forms, and I got the loose leaf ones. I got pumpkin spice, I got cranberry for late fall winter season, and also candy cane for Christmas season. And all these three came in one package, and the value of it stayed under the import tax or customs limit, so turned out not to be that expensive. Just a heads up for the European viewers possibly going over to the shop to check it out. They have US and a European side, and I ordered from the US side because when I checked the postages, the European side would have charged me over twice the amount that the US side did. So just a heads up, make sure you check those out. It's calculating it by the country you're ordering to, so it might be different. This might not be true for you, but just to let you know that that's something that might happen. So yes, moving on to works in progress. Let me see, I'll go with the active ones now. And as I just finished the monkey socks, I cast on another pair of socks, which, well, my excuse was that I needed another pair to knit on the bus, but I'm just now getting to the point where I can actually take it to the bus, as I started making colorwork socks on sort of Halloween themed with bats, although the yarns aren't specifically Halloweeny. So that's sort of my own design. I'm knitting plain vanilla socks with a fish lips kiss heel, and I went online to look at cross stitch patterns for bats, and I played around with those to get a pattern for the bats. Yeah, the yarns that I'm using are these. The pink one is Erin Wolle Barefoot Sock in Baby Girl, and that's 80% virgin wool merino and 20 polyamide. And the one I'm using for the bats is Lanzium X Machina's BFL nylon or BFL sock twist, so 80-20 mix. And it's from their Firefly Club, as you can see, November 2014, so 2 years ago almost. and it's the Diabolical Master of Disguise. So I had such an itch to cast on these as well that I went with stash yarn, and as you can see, the one I'm using for the bats is also, well, it has many colors, although it's sort of tonal. And the pink one also has darker speckles. So at times the bats sort of blur a bit. And I like how it looks. I love how it looks actually. But still, if I were to do this again, I think I would go ahead and get a solid color for the bats. But yeah, this'll be nice. Halloweeny, but not sort of in your face Halloween. Well, bats are quite in your face, but you know. And I'm doing the Fizzlip Kiss Hill for the first time. I've been meaning to try it for ages, and now I got around to reading the chart and learning all about what it is about. And I'm really quite liking it. Of course, I need to knit a bit further to see how it will actually fit on my feet, but I'm quite convinced that it'll be nice. All right, so now I'm on the foot part. It's perfect bust knitting, and then I'll need to do the color work part again. Now I can do the heel in the bust as well, but I wanted to do that at home because I did need to read the pattern quite a bit for the first go around. But I'll talk about that heel and how I like it more once I finish the first sock. And since it holds 2 skeins of yarn now, I'm using my Baron Wolla bag as my sock bag. The other definitely not finished. The other work in progress that I've been knitting this week is my Peeping Cowl, which I showed you last week. So this is by Joji Locatelli. This is where I was last week. So I've done quite a bit, but I'm still nowhere near done. So what I'm doing with this is I'm using the Dragonfly sock in Daenerys. I hope I got that right. Dragonfly Fibers Dragon sock in Daenerys as my sort of main color, and then all the other colors, I think in the pattern you actually have the main color plus 3 other colors, but I'm just throwing in all my odd ends, sort of, well, that fit. A lot of grays. So far I've used 3 different grays, and because I do only have, you know, mini skein worths of yarn for most of these, sometimes I run out. Like on this cable part, it would have needed, I think, 3 more rows rounds in the gray yarn, but it doesn't look bad, I don't think. If you watched my podcast for a while, you know that I'm not too particular about doing my projects exactly as the pattern states, so I'm quite okay with small things like that. And that's in my homespun house creepy cute kitty bag. And another active WIP, but which is the new cast on at the same time, is this. And this was also started last weekend, but I didn't quite get that far with it since I did the mitts. But this is, and I know it doesn't look like anything yet. This is lace weight yarn, and it's going to be sort of open fronted cardigan. Both fronts will have a sort of lace panel, and then it'll be just stockinette. And I know this is something this is like a spring or summer project, but I'm going with it now. It's from this, the first issue, and so far I think the only issue of making, and it's the Flora cardigan by Carrie Bostic Hodge, or Hodge. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. No, it's this one. No, sorry. A sort of cropped, open-fronted cardigan with lace paneling. And I think there you can get the designer's name. And why I'm doing that in the fall is that I just absolutely love this yarn. Plus you need layers for office wear, and yeah. I'm not really looking for reasons to, other than I'm enjoying it. Let me see if I have the yarn tag. Here it is. So the yarn is by Posh Yarn, and it's Natasha lace in Promises Kept and Promises Broken. I wish it would just focus. So it has 800 meters, 875 yards, and it's really a luscious mix of silk and camel, 50-50. So that's another reason why I like working with it. It's so luxurious. So those are my active WIPs, and I'm gonna pause now for a second, and then I'll move on to the older works in progress. Right, so I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to go get something downstairs, and now I just kicked it further away. Anyway, the older works in progress that I've had for a while. This is in my Hue Loco bag, a large bag, which I love. And in it, I have the Brio Chevron cowl, which I believe I have showed on the podcast before I started this last winter, I guess. And I've only gotten this far. Like I've said, I'm not a huge fan of brioche, so that's one of the reasons. And another one is that I've made quite a lot of mistakes in here. Like here you can see one that's quite obvious. And I'm not going to rip back. I know that after I've done it and I'm wearing it, I won't mind these and I won't notice them, maybe even. But it just means that now that I'm knitting it, I do need to sort of pay a lot of attention to what I'm doing, and also trying to solve the problems, like I'm missing stitches, so I need to know how to add them there without them being too noticeable. But this is something that I would really like to finish this year, or at least getting a lot closer to being finished. So at some point when I've finished some of my older WIPs, or just feel like challenging myself a bit, I'll pick it up. Also, one of the reasons I'm showing you all of these older WIPs is that I hope that if you don't see them in the next 6 months, you'll give me a shout out about it. Not shout out, you'll give me a shout about it. So that I'll get my act together and either frog them or work on them. I do think that that's, even though I'm not really enjoying knitting it, I will definitely enjoy wearing it. Sorry, this is a bit uncomfortable position to sit on. And the last knitting WIP I have one another is something that I started this summer. This is the Timeless Henley by Joji Locatelli. This is also from the Interpretations collection. let's see, it does have a quite long cable. So I've sort of gotten the, I'm almost at the point where you join the fronts and start knitting in the round. Oh, it's looking really odd. It's not that emerald. It doesn't have any emerald in it. Let's see if a skein of the yarn would look better. This sort of dark greens and browns. And yeah, knitting with such dark yarn, I haven't done that often, and not on any project that's this large. So that's also something. It's not TV knitting in the evenings sort of project. You do need quite a lot of light to work on it. This is also by Porsche Yarn, and it's their, it's their Esme sock. In the days of my freedom are numbered, and this is just 100% merino. And so yeah, fingering weight yarn, a sweater, a sort of lacy sweater and fingering weight yarn, which I think will be okay year round. And all my WIPs live in this basket, which is, and I'm really sorry about this, but this is the most vaguest way of saying where this is, but this is one of those African baskets from the UK. I don't even remember who told me where this is from. I think it was Hannah from the Sheep's Alley podcast. But I've also seen Danny from the Little Poppins Knits use something similar. Then the last work in progress, just a second, is one of my summer projects that I knew I wasn't going to finish this summer. It's a crochet project. Which I know looks pretty horrible. I'm sure the top isn't supposed to flap like that. But I've never crocheted a garment before, so this is something new. What that is, it's the Tannery Falls. Just find the picture from the summer pom-pom issue. The summer issue of pom-pom. It's this one that I showed you and posted on my Instagram as well. So it's by Sarah Delaney. It's on the back cover as well. So this is pom-pom issue 17. So I got that. I'm really enjoying it. I'm using Ito Kino yarns, 100% silk yarns. One of them is snow gray. They are in lovely cones like this, which is why I keep them in a paper bag so they sort of stay upright. And the other one is just white. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing. The name of the white that I'm using is, no, this is the same one, just says snow gray. Sorry. The name of the white that I'm using is just white. It's not focusing. Anyway. So I'm actually quite liking it. I'm finding it difficult, and I'm with all the different sort of stitches that you're doing. So when I do this, I do really need to concentrate on this. I'm sure for people who've more used to crocheting things could do this while watching TV, but I can't. And so it's really, I really need to be in the right sort of mood to do this. But yeah, I'm sure I will love it, and I will definitely do it. It's interesting, and I feel like I'm learning lots when I'm working on it. So most of the time I just want to do simple knitting that I'm familiar with and knew how to do occasionally for half an hour, say. It's nice to feel my brain working and my hands learning new patterns of motion. Right, so I did promise stash acquisitions. I think last episode I said that I went a bit naughty on the yarn buying front, intending to buy just one skein and ending up buying lots more. The first order has arrived and it's from London House Yarns. Never ordered from them before, seen the yarns on lots of podcasts and really like the color combinations. And when I happened to be online at the right time for the latest update and saw that they had, I think these are called mini sock sets, which means that they have a 50 gram of self-striping yarn and 20 gram of a solid color to go with it. So 70 grams of sock yarn. There you can see 75-25 mix. And this one's, the colorway is Diagonally. And this one is Hocus Pocus, which isn't focusing. Anyway, it's called Hocus Pocus. So 70 grams of sock yarn, which is just the perfect amount of sock yarn for my feet. The monkey socks that I just finished weigh about 60 grams, so 50 grams of the main color and 10 grams for the heels. So these would be perfect for socks for myself. And self-striping yarn, simple vanilla socks, perfect commute bus knitting. So I'm going to have some new stripy socks hopefully soon. Once I'm done with the bat socks. So I'm going to, after I finish those, I'm going to cast on the Hocus Pocus socks for a more Halloween socks. So I think that's all I have for you this time. Thank you so much for watching, whether you're returning or new. It's so lovely to have you here. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope to see you soon again. Bye. Hi, I'm back. As I was editing the things that I previously recorded, I realized that I left out a bunch of things that I either alluded to or mentioned last time that I would talk about. So I'm back for a quick addition. First of all, I mentioned the Mittens Cal. It is active on the Lina Knits Ravelry group, and you can find it by the group. You can find the group by searching for Lina Knits on the group tab. And it's there, it's called simply Mittens Cal. Basically anything you wear on your hands is okay. WIPs, new cast-ons, everything is included. As of now and maybe never, the Cal really doesn't have any rules and doesn't seem to be having any prizes. At least I haven't come up with anything that would go with the no stress to anyone. And more than that, I just really want the knit along to be a source of more than anything, I really want the knit along to be a source of inspiration and sharing of pattern ideas and yarn choices and everything related to keeping your hands warm. So if you're about to knit mittens, mitts, gloves, do join. Share your ideas, help others find patterns for their yarn or yarn for their pattern, and just, cheer everyone on. And it's a long-term cal. I'm thinking at least 2 months, so mid-November, maybe longer if people need it to be. So really, in a word, knit along. So we're knitting along with each other. There's no competition, no rules, just knitting. So do come and join. And Then last week I mentioned that I decided to join 2 mystery knit-alongs. As quite a surprise to myself, I decided to do that. The first one is starting the 1st of October, and that's the Boo Knits sort of Halloween mystery knit-along. I took part last year when we knit Voodoo, and this year's pattern is called Taboo. It's a shawl, and it's lace weight, and this time it's for 2 colors. So I'm going with these, as I thought these would be sort of autumnal, Halloweeny, dark and moody. So the gray one is something I've wound up a while ago, and I've lost the tag, but I know it's 3/4 some lace weight. I think these were sort of like overdyed experiments. So I was going to do something with this earlier, but I don't even remember what it was. So it's balled up and ready to go. And the other one is by a Finnish small independent dyer, Jan Grimoire. They have an Etsy shop, and this is their merino lace, and it's a custom dye. It's called Survival, and it's a superwash merino. So yeah, these are going to be it, and cast on is, like I said, or the first part is released on the 1st of October, so next Saturday or a week from now. And the other one is something that you've all I'm sure aware of. It's the Stephen West's this year's mystery knit-along. It's called Building Blocks, and it actually calls for 4 skeins of yarn. And these are my choices. So not there's purple, but there's also green and chartreuse, so not typical colors for me, but not something that I wouldn't wear. But I'm keeping my options open, so if I don't like the pattern but I like knitting it, I'm going to knit it and then gift it to someone. I'm thinking my mom would like these colors, so maybe for her, or then I'll keep it for myself. Who knows? We'll see. And all the yarn are from my stash, so I didn't buy anything for it. The first one is from Natural Dye Studio, which I think is out of business at the moment, or they stopped doing it and the owners moved on to other endeavors. But I was part of their Murder on the Moor club for a while, so this is their Dazzle fingering weight yarn. Lots of information there. That is a Bluefest Leicester 100%. Then another skein of fingering. Green somehow always blew out, but this is like a light grass green, and I've lost the tag. You can find, I know that I have a stash entry for this, so you can find it on my project page, and I'll mention it once I start knitting. The next, or the third color, is a variegated one of green and purple and pink, and it's again by Natural Dye Studio. I don't think you need the contact information. And this is their Godiva silk, so it's merino and silk mix. The pattern called for sort of heavy fingering, light sport weight yarn, and the yarn used the yarn that Stephen used, the recommended for yarn, is a special spin from Hedgehog Fibers, I think, but I just went with regular fingering weight yarn. And the last one that I'm using is Fiddle Knits Polka in the color Peridot, and these are somehow awfully blown out. It's more mustardy. Like when I hold them next to each other, I think that's where you can see that they do have some color. Right, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And more along the lines of why did I join a mystery knit along if I'm really trying to keep my knitting as stress-free as possible, no schedules, and only knitting what I like. And I think the last part is the key, only knitting what I like. If I enjoy the knitting, I do like to have finished objects that I use or can gift and that are useful. But more than anything, I want to enjoy the process. And I've knit plenty of Stevens pattern, well, not plenty, a few, and I've enjoyed them all. They've been a very relaxing, interesting, and projects where I've also learned something new each time. So that's why I thought I'll give it a go. If I don't like it, I'll rip it back and use the yarn for something else. If I like the knitting process but not the finished object, I'll gift it. If I like both the knitting and the finished object, yay, I have another scarf or another shawl, sorry. Anyway, that's all I wanted to add to the episode. So now I'm really going to say bye-bye and see you next time. Thank you.